You're listening to the tale of two podcasters from the 2007 RAB TGO Challenge, brought to you by the outdoorsStation.co.uk.
This podcast is just one of a special series produced from a wealth of recordings made in May 2007 by two backpackers, Andy Howell and me, Bob Cartwright, as we made our way via two different routes from the west to the east coast of Scotland as part of the 2007 RAB TGO Challenge.
Here at RAB, we're pleased to be involved in the TGO Challenge, which is the perfect testing ground for our clothing and sleeping bags. RAB has a Scottish heritage and over 25 years' experience of making gear that performs in the varied weather of the Highlands, as well as gear for the highest peaks in the Himalaya.
Co-sponsors TGO, the Great Outdoors magazine, have been behind this May event since its inception in 1980. The framework and principle is totally unique. It isn't a race or a competition of any kind. The objective is to foster good fellowship amongst walkers within the framework of a challenging 200-mile expedition. The start consists of a series of sign-out locations on the west coast, from Torridon in the north down to Ardrishaig in the south. Each challenger, solo, couple or group makes their way via a high route, a low route or a mixture of the two across Scotland to finish anywhere between Arbroath and Fraserburgh on the east coast. There's a set 2-week window to do this in, and each participant submits their route for inspection prior to departure for safety and advice reasons. The places, however, are limited to 300, and details about the event, entry forms, past stories and photographs can be found in the October issue of TGO magazine and on their website. Each participant makes the challenge as easy or as hard as they wish. The extremes can be a remote high route, crossing wild country and not seeing another soul for days on end. Or a route which takes in the many social events, perhaps not camping at all and just using established accommodation all the way. Most people do a mixture of the two in different forms. This year I started with my wife Rose in the beautiful village of Plockton, and Andy Howell with his partner Kate started from Strathcarron. We both carried recorders with us to capture our audio diaries and conversations which took place with other walkers as well as locals as we made our way to the east coast. Yes, this is the tale and adventures of two podcasters. Well, here we are, Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock, and our merry little band has gathered a few people together, and we're now heading through the Fetteresso forest, starting the first part of our, hopefully, last leg to Stonehaven. We've gathered a few people. There's Lee, Colin and myself. There's a John and American Rob, the other lightweight guy with Colin, it's quite interesting, and the two Italian guys, Giuseppe and Simon. So we're currently stopping and starting our map reading and working out exactly where we are as we head through into the second section of the forest and hopefully get through to Stonehaven in time for some beer and chips once we've been down to the seafront. So we'll pick up the story as things progress a bit later on, but today is the beginning of the end. And in fact, we've just hit the end of the track, we're now onto the rough stuff. So I'm going to turn off now. Well, not long after I switched off last time, we'd got through the first stage of the Fetteresso forest, and we're finding our way via various paths up to Mid-Hill. Well, that was the intention anyway. And then to walk along Mid-Hill, along towards Leach's Hill to pick up the path which then goes through the Fetteresso forest. Now, an hour or so later, we finally reached the end of that open area which you can see on the map. Before the forest starts once again, the roadside by Leach's Hill, and we've just got to the end and we've sat here collapsed would be a good word. There's myself, Lee, John and Colin. The American guy, Rob, is actually walking in sandals. And I'm going to hand over around the collective just for their description of the type of terrain we've just crossed. Because it's what do you think? What word would you use?
Never again, Bob. Terrible. Terrible. Took forever.
It's exhausting stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, very exhausting, very hard work, especially if you've got short legs like me.
Well, that's one description from Lee. What's your thoughts on it, John?
Well, as likely I've got short legs, I found it very hard as well, and next time I think I'll find a bit of more on the track if possible. Yeah.
And Colin, what were your thoughts?
It's certainly an experience that, but it was rough, hard walking through real thick heather.
Yeah.
I'll definitely pick a different route in the future, I think.
It was really deep stuff, and it was almost waist deep on us at times, and we're 6 foot tall odd, so it was absolute really hard going. And poor Rob, who's walking in sandals, I think he's having a bit of a tough time. We're waiting for him at the moment, and he's not experienced any heather bashing, and we went up there, I think, hoping or assuming that the stuff underfoot would be easier going. So we're just waiting for him now, and he's just coming over the horizon, so he shouldn't be too long. But on the route, Colin had an interesting experience.
Yeah, I was just trying to pathfind through all the heather, and I saw this little brown thing in the heather, and it turned out to be an adder. It was just sort of curled there, sort of looking at me, and I was looking at it, and then the other guys joined me, and eventually it decided enough was enough, and off it went.
It didn't like the attention, but you were fairly lucky because you almost trod on it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was just as I was putting my foot down, I was about 6 inches above it, and I just saw this thing. And I've seen a couple before, but it just sort of grabbed my attention at the last minute, and I moved my foot out of the way quickly.
Yeah, good move. Well, weather's on our side. I'm just sort of make my way up the road and see where Rob is. He's poor lad. He's doing his best, and certainly we haven't taken the route on a deliberate way to give him a hard time, but he must be feeling it pretty badly at the moment with his feet rolling around with these sandals. But at least he's got walking poles, but I think he's having a fairly tough time with his sandals on that. So if anybody's thinking of coming this way, be prepared for the worst heather bashing you could possibly have in a 200-mile trip. It's doable, but it's blooming hard work, and it does cut off a fair amount of wandering through tracks through the forest, but it's definitely one to keep on the back burner if you're ever thinking of coming through the Fetteresso forest. But we hopefully now we're on the main track that runs down the side of the river, and we'll shortly be beetling our way through there once we've all recovered. So our intrepid little band have emerged from Fetteresso forest. That's the 5 of us. The Italian guys broke off and went their own way some time ago. We eventually found Rob. He'd made his way across that terrible heather with just his sandals on, which was a heroic effort, and gave him a few moments to sort himself out. And he's joined us, even though he's been suffering a bit with foot problems, and gamely carried on. We're now entering the outskirts of Stonehaven. It's a lovely day, blue skies, a few fluffy clouds, skylarks singing, occasional traffic coming past, slowly getting us used to the idea of suburbia again. And the 5 of us are going to be heading down to the seafront shortly, probably for a well-earned beer, before Rob and Colin, the 2 lightweight guys actually, interestingly, Rob and Colin head off to Dunnottar Castle to finish their duty there. Dust. So it's been an excellent last day. Certainly recommend this exit route for people thinking of doing it in the future. It's quite charming and not too much road work, providing you can get through the Fetteresso without too much issue. We're just coming up to the ring road now, and hopefully we'll be stepping into suburbia once more for a welcoming beer. So I'll switch back on when we're close to it all, and we'll capture the arriving thoughts of our intrepid little band. And so our happy little band of travellers have made it to Stonehaven. Hurrah! Hurrah! done, John. This is your second time. Congratulations. Yeah. You tempted to come again?
I'll be here again, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
As long as I can get in. Yeah.
You got your feet wet now, as they say.
Oh,
Literally.
Yeah. Tempted to go for a full swim. But
Full swim.
I did last year.
Not the full swim.
Naked, straight in.
Oh, you
But
liar.
I won't be doing it this year. I just got to get undressed. There's a few people about. There wasn't last year.
Oh, fair enough then. What about you, Lee? You're fully encased in your boots and everything you've been in.
My boots have got wet with East Coast water, and it's a pleasure to be here once again.
Yes.
Roll on next year.
Oh, I'll tell you what, this cold water is really good for your feet. And hobbling down to join us is our American friend who's done it for the first time. Rob, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You made it.
It was a pleasure to walk to the coast with you gentlemen, although I can't say every moment was entirely pleasurable, but it's really it's great to be here, and it's been good.
It's been a tough last day going through there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a tough day, but this is a great reward, so it's wonderful.
Excellent. Well, the weather's shining on us. It's kind to us. If you're going to make it to the last bit to Dunnottar Castle?
Probably give it a shot. You know.
Good man. Well, we'll be having beer and chips tonight to celebrate, so I do hope you come back and join us.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course I will. And this is the first hot, sunny day in Scotland I've seen. You know, it's amazing.
Make sure you take plenty of photographs. They don't happen that often.
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Well, congratulations.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, I think we're going to sort ourselves out now and go and have a drinky. What a lovely day.
Well, it's now all over, and we're in the tent at the campsite at Montrose, having wandered down from Northwater Bridge this morning. Picked up our certificates and our t-shirts, much superior t-shirts than last year, has to be said, from Challenge Control, and sat in a coffee shop in Montrose this afternoon and had a rather civilised lunch, and we're just sitting here now watching people arrive into the campsite. Kate, how does it feel to have finished?
I can hardly believe it's all over, really. This morning, walking out to St Cyrus was, in many respects, it was just like another day. Get up, start walking, and it's quite a sort of fair walk along the lanes, and it takes a long time before you see the sea. And then when you finally do see the sea and you realise that's it, there's no further to walk, it's kind of a strange mixture of emotions. Elation, really, to have achieved the end point, but also a bit of sadness and a slight bewilderment and a wondering what you're going to do with yourself. So, it's great to have finished, and it's a great sense of achievement, it's great to be here.
Well, some things never change. We walked into Challenge Control, and there was Mr. Sloman composing his blog, just as he was when we walked into Five Farms at Braemar. And he at least will be continuing walking, doing the challenge in reverse, then zipping up to John O'Groats. In the meantime, we'll go to a small dinner this evening, see if we can find some of the bits and pieces.
Challenge Control was a revelation to me. I rather imagined that it was some kind of Starship Enterprise with great banks of people on phones with compasses and GPSs and all sorts going on, but it turns out to be a room in a hotel with, as far as I could make out, just one telephone and sort of lots of paper files and manual records of what everyone was doing. So that was intriguing. I'd been imagining this great place called Challenge Control. It was rather refreshing to see it all rather more mundane and humdrum than one might have imagined.
I don't know, it's certainly Roger's command post, I think. They certainly do welcome you nicely with a nice cup of tea and a biscuit, which I think is very refreshing. And of course, lots of chances to pick up the gossip on who's succeeded, who's had to give up this year, and other bits and pieces. It's quite a nice way to end the challenge, I think. But,
yes, they were fabulous. Actually, they were very nice, and it was lovely to be congratulated and made a little bit of a fuss of, and it was very pleasant indeed. Just rather less technical than I had perhaps been expecting.
Of course, you do pick up a certificate and a badge, as well as your T-shirt. And to my horror, this year's certificate has got a picture of Bob Cartwright on it.
Well, I don't know what we're going to do with that, Andy. I mean, we seem to be surrounded by Bob Cartwright merchandise, and here we are making a Bob Cartwright podcast, and to have him on our certificate, well, maybe there's something fitting about that. It's a kind of memorial to my first challenge and the 2007 challenge in general.
He's always around, is Bob. Anyway, there are a few people wandering into the campsite who we haven't talked to yet, so we're going to go to the small challenge dinner this evening, see who we can find out, see if we can chat to, and see if we can get some other challenge stories. But for us, that's the end of the Great Outdoors Challenge 2007.
There are a series of evening meals to celebrate the completion of the challenge, held on the Wednesday, Thursday and Friday in Montrose. The largest being the Thursday, when most of the challengers arrive en masse. So while Andy and Kate enjoyed the first of these, our merry little band set up camp for the last time at Stonehaven campsite, before making a beeline for the fish and chip shop and devouring the tastiest and most welcome meal of the trip. Afterwards, we wandered down to the peaceful quayside to enjoy some local real ale and, as the sun set, reminisce on key moments from the last 2 weeks. The following morning, our appetites were back in full force, and 5 full breakfasts were wiped clean from the plates at the Seafront Cafe, before locating the main bus stop to complete the last leg of our journey to Montrose. As we waited, Judith Barnes, a solo challenger, told me how her trip had been.
Judith, nice to see you. You've obviously had a good trip. You're looking fit and well. Have you enjoyed it this year?
Yeah, it's good. It's my second trip. Much better than last year. Last year I was a bit overawed by it all, but this year it's my route. I did it my way, and it's been good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, much calmer this year. Last year I remember being quite a nervous little thing.
I was. Yeah. I was worried about everything last year, but this year, well, all you're doing is walking across Scotland, so what can go wrong?
But you've done it the once. You've just got the confidence, haven't you? You know you can do it.
I know I can do it, and there were times when I'd look at the distance ahead of me and think, well, I've done all this before, so just keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah. So just a brief look at your route. What was your route, and what did you actually think of the route? Did you enjoy doing it?
Yeah, I think I made a couple of mistakes. There were some bits when I hacked across peat bogs and heather when perhaps I should have gone around the long way. It would have been quicker going around the long way. And there was a couple of, there was one day, a couple of days ago, towards the east coast, where I was just traipsing up roads, and I should have found a better way of doing that. But I like my route. I felt like it was mine this year. Last year, I didn't want to bring my tent last year, but I ended up bringing it anyway. So my route was a bit of a sort of half and half. I tried to do it all B&B, and then ended up camping anyway. Whereas this year, I just decided to camp right from the offset, so I could go wherever I liked. I wasn't trying to get to a town by bedtime. It was just, I think I'll camp here. So
it makes a big difference, doesn't it, when you don't actually have to stick to deadlines? I mean, in our case this year, we were trying to get to certain places for certain times for things, and it was actually quite off-putting.
Yeah. Yesterday, where was I? Fewkside, I believe they say it. That was 2 days ago, and I had to get to Stonehaven. Well, I felt I had to get to Stonehaven in one day, about another 20 miles, and I just thought, I can't do it. It's just too far. I'm too tired. So I decided the sensible thing to do is just walk as far as I can and ask someone if I can camp in his field. So I did. So a lot more flexible this year. I felt more in control than last year.
So where do you actually start from this year? Just roughly, where do you go through?
Started in Strathcarron, and then it was good. I went off the road straight away along Loch Monar. I followed a Scottish Hill Tracks route from Struy backwards, so I did it from Strathcarron to Struy. So the first night I camped on the shores of Loch Monar. I felt like I was the only person in the world. It's brilliant. You got a loch there, beautiful hills all around, no paths, nothing, just me. It was really good. On to Struy, stayed in the inn there, then up to Inverness. That was a bit of a traipse, a few roads there, but I wanted to go to Inverness because I went there about 10 years ago and it was a lovely little town, but now it's just like this big city really. I was really surprised how much it had changed. From Inverness I took 2 days to get down to Grantown-on-Spey, and they were tough days. They were just getting lost in big peat bogs and just setting bearings on my GPS and just walking in a straight line because they were tiring days. They're the sort of days when you put your tent up and make your dinner, you feel you've achieved something just to be there having your dinner. Yeah. Really tough. From Grantown, went down to Ballater. Took a day or two to get down to Ballater. That was nice to meet up with a load of challengers there. And then from Ballater, really, it was just head east, come to Stonehaven.
So did you do Mount Keen?
No, I didn't. No, there are a few people on the campsite who are planning to, but I tend to go round hills rather than over the top of them.
Well, you seem to be carrying a smaller pack than you did last year, even though you sort of did a bit bed and breakfast and stuff. How do you feel about what you've been taking with you?
It is the same pack. I've just cut down a few things. I've got a few lighter things. This pack is it's my Carrymore Jaguar that I've had for years, and it's comfy. So I did want to get something lighter. I've looked at what you've got available, looked at other people, but I've just not found anything that really suits me. So I've stayed with a heavy pack that just suits me. It fits comfortably on my back. I carried on using my Acto, Hillberg Acto, same as last year. Still love it. Don't like the condensation when the wind drops, but it's a good tent. I've got a Rab down sleeping bag. All my gear is pretty good gear, really.
Yeah. Have you just got sort of like one set of dry, one set spare?
Yeah, well, basically I've been trying to wash clothes every 2 days or so,
idea,
and sort of just pegging them to the outside of my rucksack as I'm walking along. So must be a sight, but it gets it dry.
Well, I think we all do that. It does help, especially when you go through a campsite, to actually just use the facilities, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, quick question then. Best bit of kit, worst bit of kit?
Let's see. Well, I'm still making my mind up about the shoes I've walked in this year, which was the Innovate Rock Lights. They're very comfy for walking in, much better than my boots. My boots ripped my feet to shreds last year, they're horrible. They're really comfy, but they get wet all the time. So I was trying to wear sealskin socks, but I don't particularly like them. So I'm still undecided, but I think I'd definitely wear a lightweight shoe rather than a boot again. Best bits, I still feel like to do something about this rucksack, because that's still heavy and I know I could get a lighter rucksack, but like I said, I like the support and the feel of it. I don't think I'd change anything really, it's just sort of minor things I'd change.
And so what was anything that was just the worst bit of kit, something you would actually ditch or would change for something better that just didn't quite perform as well as you thought?
I don't know, I think I've done quite well this year with kit. I've walked in Paramo for the first time.
Yeah, so you enjoyed that?
Yeah, the trousers and the top. I'm glad I got the zip-off trousers because they would have been much too hot for me. Some people say, oh no, they're not too hot, but these would have been sweltering for me. So I think I'd keep them. I honestly can't think of anything I'd change. I want a lighter digital camera, which is a trivial thing.
That's pretty good. If you can't it's nothing immediately comes to mind as being troublesome or whatever. You've just proved you've got it honed down. As you say, if you're happy with the rucksack, it's a comfy rucksack. There's no need to change it just for the sake of it. But if you do, you probably can knock another K or a couple of K off it.
Yeah.
I agree with you about the Terox and rock lights. I've got Terox and I had wet feet, but as you were just saying, I tended to wash my socks out in the stream every night, or certainly when I got to the campsites. And they were dry in the morning and just carried on. I didn't find it much of a problem, certainly. One other question that somebody has mentioned has been going on, I thought was quite a good one, is what piece of music, what tune has been going round and round in your head for the last 2 weeks?
The ELO song, Mr. Blue Sky. Every time the cloud clears, I found I'm singing this song. What I used to sing was The Happy Wanderer, and thankfully that hasn't come into my head yet this year. Last year it drove me mad. Mr. Blue Sky, whenever the cloud cleared.
Excellent, thanks Judith, and safe travels. Coming back again?
Yeah, probably. I keep thinking 2 weeks is a big time to give up to do something like this, and there's so many parts of the world I haven't seen yet. So I don't know whether I might give it a miss for a couple of years and come back, or whether I really got the bug now.
Excellent. Thanks, Judith. Well done. All the guys enjoyed a good night's sleep in Stonehaven. We woke this morning and stared over the seafront, watching the sea ebb and flow quietly. Beautiful sunrise this morning, and then we treated ourselves to a slap-up breakfast before Colin and Rob went off to complete Donata Castle. We went went back to the campsite and packed up and caught the bus to Montrose, where we are now. Everybody is just gone ahead of me to go into control and get their certificates, and I just thought I'd just lay down the last thoughts really before we get into the bustle of just catching up with other challengers to see how they have actually got on. The weather's good today, so I think we've all had a good ending to the trip, a nice dry ending to the trip, which is always good, and everybody has achieved their goals happily, which is the main thing. But it's a case now of reality is looming really. It'll be a few hours of pleasure and party, and then reality looms for all of us, and one in particular is Colin, who starts work tomorrow first thing. So bless him, he's got the party tonight, and then he'll probably go straight home for a couple of hours sleep before he starts work. Anyway, I've arrived at the Park Hotel. There's a pile of rucksacks outside the front, a load of people chit-chatting, and I'm going to join them and make my way into control and catch up with Roger and get my certificate. Last time I saw him, he was at the bus stop and he said he would be back. Yeah. And he's back, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm back. Hello to everybody.
You have a good trip?
Yeah, wonderful trip. I started from Tobermory, but I was the only one, who used this as starting point. But it was a good idea, to cross Mull, for the first
Must be beautiful there.
It's beautiful, you get views out to the Outer Hebrides, to the peninsulas, to the Western Highlands, and fantastic start point, for a challenge.
But fairly quiet. You were saying you didn't see anybody for 8 days.
I've met the first challenger after 8 days in Fetteresso campsite. So it was in between, sometimes a bit boring. Yeah.
But since then you've socialised more, have you?
Yeah. I've met some more challengers. And last night I spent a wonderful wild camp at Lunan Bay.
So where did you finish?
Officially it's Curtiness, but I already arrived yesterday on the east coast at Lunan Bay. At wild camp, and it's a good idea, to spend the last wild camp on the east coast.
Well, we came over and camped at Stonehaven and had a nice relaxing night last night, and went to the pub, and it was a good night. Excellent. So you're going to be back next year?
I'm pretty sure. I see you next year, Bob. It's nice to meet you.
Okay, take care, Marcus. Thanks.
You too.
Roving reporters back.
Hey, Caban, good grief. Caban, lovely to see you again. Have a good crossing?
Brilliant crossing. Hard work and a lot of bog this year.
Really?
Way too much bog. Did a lot of off-road stuff in the mountains.
What I found this time, I don't know why, whether it was the route I took, because I started from Plockton because you started at Plockton. I found it hard to get some decent campsites, camping spots,
I had no trouble at all. No, I found beautiful spots pretty well every night, by a nice stream, good view.
It must have just been, the route that we took or where we ended up, but that starts at Plockton. It just seemed to take a bit of a while to get into it. I think probably because you had to come back down to the road before you left it again at Dorney.
It's quite nice going around the edge of the loch and up over the hills. I thought it was quite pleasant.
And so what about you? What did you do this year?
The Mallaig. crossing, and I got my 12 Montrose in this year.
Oh,
so I get the high level crossing. Not like I get anything for it.
And did you get the Inverie, the boat, and the whole thing?
Yeah, it's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And I had my cheese and pickle sandwiches all the way.
Yeah, good man. In fact, a lot of people seem to have done that. They listened to the podcast last year, I think, and I've seen a lot of people with cheese and pickle.
Well, hey, it's caught on.
Yeah, lightweight cheese obviously is the way to go.
Stuff your bloody oatcakes. Cheese and pickle is the way to go.
Okay then, couple of questions. Thank you. Best bit of kit, worst bit of kit?
Oh, well, I've down-weighted to the Hilberg Acto from the Nello, and that's a good tent. Saved me a bit of weight.
So you're pleased with that?
Yeah, it's good. And had some new pair of boots, Reichli. Don't know how you pronounce them.
Rushel, yeah.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Oh, good. And what was the tune that was going around in your head most of all?
Well, somebody said, you'll be singing I Would Walk 500 Miles, and I bloody well was too.
So you're going to come back next year and finish some more Montrose off?
Yep. Excellent. Definitely.
Nice to see you again, mate, and glad you've finished fitting well. You've got a great tan. So I'll catch up with you at the drink later on.
Yeah. All right, see you later.
Cheers, guys. Nice to speak to you. Well, no, I haven't even got into control yet, and I'm already bumping into people seeing from year in, year out. So we're now going to head in and see what's going on in there. The gentle hubbub of control. Of sound of people drinking tea and eating biscuits. Nice colour? Quality t-shirt? That's nice, yes. We're not going to stand out with these bright green things like we did last year, then.
Do you know the one I can't wear is the yellow one?
How are you, Bob?
I'm fine, thanks. Yourself?
That's bad, thanks. How about Thorn?
Nice to speak to you. You're all right?
Yeah, fine.
Excellent. Been a good event-free organising. You know, not too many disasters. Nobody. Been a couple of injuries, hasn't there?
A couple. Nothing we couldn't handle.
Excellent. The system is still working fine then?
Yes.
Yeah. What's a nice quiet hubbub going on in here? Has it been like this for very long?
Well, generally all most of the morning. All morning it'll get worse in the afternoon.
Yeah. It's got not worse, just better. Just busier.
Better, busier than this.
So what have I got? I've got my t-shirt.
Yes.
What's
to sign in?
Yeah, I'll certainly sign in somewhere.
Wherever you are, what number were you?
33.
Yes, there, because some chap below signed in from both.
Getting carried away. Is it 22nd today? Must be, isn't it? 24th, is it? Good God.
That's a hat and a half.
It is indeed. Thank you, Roger.
Nice.
It's a Glengarry, and that's my Wallace badge on the side.
When did you finish?
When or where?
Where?
Stonehaven.
Right. On your own, sadly.
On my own, sadly, it's very true. Rose couldn't be with me, which is a real shame.
Anything else, sir?
Thank you very much, Roger. Has it been a trouble-free?
Not quite, but we coped.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much indeed for your organising. Appreciate it, as always.
Just part of a team. I'm just a small part of the team.
Well, the team all deserve the thanks. We all appreciate it.
He's the big part of the team. The spider in the centre of the web. Couldn't do it on my own, though.
Excellent. Well, it all runs smoothly as usual. Thank you very much for that.
It's a bit like the swan on the water, you know.
Yes, calm on the top and paddling like mad underneath.
That's right, exactly, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That concludes this part of The Tale of Two Podcasters from the 2007 RAB TGO Challenge, brought to you by theoutdoorsStation.co.uk.